4,000 weeks. If you live to be 80, that is the total amount of time you have on this planet. If you are 35, there are fewer than 2,200 weeks left in your hourglass. If you are 40, you have already crossed the halfway mark of your life's marathon. When we measure our lives in years, we feel as though there is a vast, open plain ahead of us. But when we look at it in weeks, the physical reality of our finitude transforms into a suffocating pressure. Most of us attempt to relieve this pressure by throwing ourselves into a war called productivity. We try to use better tools and more precise schedules to outrun a clock that is relentlessly counting down. Welcome to Agura. Today, we are dismantling Oliver Burkeman's 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. This is not a book that teaches you how to clear your inbox or optimize your morning routine. Instead, it is a brutal, philosophical settlement with the reality of being human. The first thing we must face is a cold, mathematical fact: no matter how efficient you become, you will never be able to accomplish everything you want to do. In an era where information and opportunities grow exponentially, your to-do list is, by definition, insurmountable. If you place the meaning of your life at the finish line, waiting for the moment when all the tasks are done, you are chasing a ghost. Berkman argues that true liberation does not come from being more efficient. It comes from the total, humble acceptance of the fact that you will fail to do it all. This acceptance is not just about reducing stress. It is about reclaiming the power to define meaning. We have been conditioned to view time as a tool, what philosophers call instrumental value. We network to get a promotion. We work late for a performance review. We even go to the gym just so we can be more productive tomorrow. In this logic, the present moment is always a mere stepping stone to some future destination. But as John Maynard Keynes famously noted, in the long run, we are all dead. If you cannot find joy in the present, in the deep silence of a thought or the friction of a difficult discussion, then no matter how many items you cross off your list, true fulfillment will remain out of reach. Engaging in an activity for its intrinsic value, doing it because the act itself is the goal, is the only way to escape the waiting room of modern existence. We often fall for the efficiency trap. We believe that if we work faster, we will eventually have more free time. But the opposite is true. Increasing your efficiency usually just attracts more work. When you become faster at answering emails, people reply to you faster, creating even more tasks for you to manage. In this sense, productivity worship is like sprinting on a treadmill that is constantly accelerating. The faster you run, the more requirements the world pushes onto you. However, there is a sharp and ambitious counter-argument to this philosophy of finitude. If we truly accept that in the long run we are all dead, what happens to the drive for social progress? If Martin Luther King, Jr. had adopted a philosophy of simply enjoying the present, would the waves of the civil rights movement have ever crashed against the shores of history? For those who change the world, fulfillment often comes from meaningful projects that require immense, sometimes painful sacrifice over a lifetime. These people are willing to trade their present comfort for a future they may never see, because the outcome justifies every unpleasant moment of the process. This kind of heroic, outcome-oriented persistence is a territory that a live-in-the-moment philosophy struggles to conquer. This is where the Agora perspective becomes vital. We believe that acknowledging the finitude of life does not mean sliding into nihilism or a comfortable mediocrity. On the contrary, it is meant to make us more ambitious, but an ambition rooted in the reclamation of sovereignty, in the industrial logic of the modern workplace. We have all been alienated into vessels for output metrics. When you ask yourself, was I productive today? You are managing your soul as if it were a piece of hardware. Agora suggests that true elite status does not come from how much water you can pump out of your system, but from the courage to choose which meaningful pain is worth your 4,000 weeks. We are not looking for a superficial, frantic productivity imposed by others. We are looking for the kind of deep thinking and creation that is rooted in our own intrinsic values. Accepting finitude is, in reality, a process of cognitive filtering. If you truly internalize that your time is limited to 4,000 weeks, you realize that the trivial, reactive tasks that others try to dump into your life do not deserve a seat at your table. You become more courageous in your refusals. You gain the power to quit things that are merely water filling your box. We must seek out those activities that, even if the results are not immediate, and even if they ultimately fade in the vastness of time, make you feel like you are becoming the person you were meant to be in every single moment of the doing. The path to self-actualization lies in a balance. We must have the mercy to admit we cannot do everything, but we must also have the heroism to fight for the one or two great things that are worth the struggle. This balance is the only way to respect the math of those 4,000 weeks. Stop asking if it's your fault for being a productivity worshipper, and start asking, where exactly is the time I've saved actually going? If your efficiency is only serving to keep you running longer in a pathological rhythm, then that efficiency is a form of self-deception. True freedom is found when you step off that accelerating treadmill. Look back from the end of your 4,000 weeks and realize that the most meaningful moments were often the ones where you were the most inefficient. The moments you were lost in deep thought, a soul-level conversation, or a pure, unadulterated passion. Allow yourself to be messy. Allow yourself to have an unfinished list. Because in this finite life, it is much harder and much more noble to be a pained, sovereign human being than it is to be a perfect, efficient part of a machine. This is Agora. We'll see you next time.